Welcome to On the Rise. I am Evan Murray, and this is awesome. We're here to talk about all the fun facts of Chinese language music.
Tell me about your stuff. Tell me about, is there significance to the artwork on your guys' album?
Yeah, like we've actually partnered with an artist by the name of Black Zhao. And he's
Black what?
Black Zhao.
Black Zhao.
Black, like the color black, and then Z-A-O. And he's somebody we've known about for years and years. He's been very active in the metal scene, and he probably in the metal scene, he's most famous for working with a band here called Flesh Juicer, who, if your audience is not familiar with them, they're probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, metal band in Taiwan right now, and he's been handling their artwork for a number of years. And he's actually a Buddhist himself. He's actually a very devout Buddhist, and so when we approached him, he was super into what we were doing musically, and he really wanted to be involved. He just had one stipulation. He says, "Okay, I want to take my time with this. So like, you can give me what you're going for, what you want to do in terms of the artwork, but I'll be the one to say when it's done. I have to be the one to take my time and to say when it's actually finished and when you can put it out." So he went about, we didn't actually give him that much direction on the art. We just kind of the various sutras and mantras that we were including on the first album, and kind of just let him run with it.
Interesting.
So if people want to check out the artwork, of course, there's the image of the what you might universally know as the Buddha on the front cover. But a lot of the imagery, like say the background imagery, even the fonts, the scriptures that are written out in Mandarin and Sanskrit, those are all lifted from the temple culture in Taiwan. So what you're going to see at the various different temples that are made for different deities all around the country, that you're going to see all around the city of Taipei if you're walking around. Of course, there's temples everywhere. So it's significant in that he himself is a Buddhist, so he understood implicitly what we were going for and what we wanted to do with it. And he was very rooted in the Buddhist culture and the imagery as well. So he's the one we wanted, and he's also, in my mind, he's the only guy that could really authentically pull this off. So we were lucky that he was willing to take it on, that he had the time, and he knocked it out of the park, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, the thing is, because the Taoism religion here in Taiwan is not based off of like Lao Tzu. Like it's actually like regional gods or something, right? And then let me just ask you about the Buddhist aspect, because you guys are, entrenched in, this Buddhist perspective in your band, propagating it. Is this a certain sect of Buddhism, or is this like a generalization of it? Like what are we experiencing here through Dharma?
It's more of a general experience it's like a broad experience of the faith in terms of the aesthetic of the band, of what people are going to see. For example, when we're on stage, the robes we're wearing are the same robes that you would wear when you were initiated into Buddhism. It's the same robe that I wore when I formally converted, when I went for the
just
ceremony.
Straight black robes.
Straight black robes. It's what you wear when you're going to take refuge in the three jewels, in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So that's what I wore, and that's what we wear on stage as well, except for Master Miaobian, who wears the orange robes of the master teacher. So in terms of the aesthetics, that's one aspect of it. We don what to outsiders might just look like corpse paint that you might see on a black metal band or a death metal band, but it's actually related to what are known as the wrathful deities in Buddhism. And the wrathful deities, they're actually protectors. They are manifestations of Buddhas and of Bodhisattvas that might have to fight against actual evil beings, evil gods in Buddhism. So they transform themselves into something evil in order to fight evil. And that's what we present ourselves as on stage. We are those manifestations of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas that must fight against evil to free people from the cycle of negative karma. So that's what you're witnessing when you come to one of our shows, and you're seeing the whole stage shows and our stage clothes, our stage makeup, and all of that. It all relates to something that's coming out of the basics of the Buddhist faith.
All right, so I'm gonna take a serious left turn here because I want to go back into your upbringing as well, because all roads led to here, obviously.
Yeah.
What were your grandparents listening to? Like what when you were growing up as a kid, you went, hey grandpa, hey grandma, like what do they have jamming on the radio?
Well, on my mom's side is Ukrainian. So, I mean, there's a lot of like, say if we're having a get together, like a family party or family reunion get together, like or Ukrainian wedding. I mean, there was a lot of like Ukrainian / Polish, like polka music going on. And I couldn't really tell you like what the names of the bands were or anything and what the songs were about. Cause I didn't learn Ukrainian, but it had that nice kind of fun bouncy beat. So when you're a kid, you kind of like that. It's easy to just kind of jump up and down too. It's like.
Did you like it when you were a kid? Did you like the polkas? Like, did you get off on that?
I thought they were like at a certain age, like, when you're say, grade school, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. It's fun, and the adults are having fun. Like there's, every Ukrainian wedding, they have the bird dance.
Actually recorded in Edmonton, that song.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the same studio anymore, but that is a global platinum hit song. Like,
the royalties, you could live off the royalties for that one.
I mean, there's probably been
10 lifetimes, I'm sure.
Yeah. And that was actually recorded at Damon Track in Edmonton on the south side. That studio has gone through other transitions, but yeah, it was crazy enough. The bird song was recorded in Edmonton.
But yeah, like on my dad's side, my grandparents on that side, I mean, my grandpa is of English heritage, from England, and my grandma's of English heritage, and there's some Dutch in there, but they were mostly into like kind of like classic, say like pre-World War II era or World War II era stuff. Like grandma would be kind of whistling or humming around the kitchen, singing like Nat King Cole, stuff like that. Grandpa played the piano. He'd play old like Frank Sinatra numbers on there. Like,
what did he sing and play at the same time when he was doing that?
Sometimes, yeah, he would sing.
Wow.
He loved to sing. He loved to entertain. I mean, he loved when people would come over, and he liked people to kind of gather around the piano and have a sing. Like, he liked sing-alongs. Like, he liked people to do that. Like Christmas was big for him. He liked to sing the Christmas songs and play them. So, I mean, like, maybe that's where my love of music started.
Well, that's really special, man. That's
one of my aunts wound up heavily involved in like musical theater in Toronto. She's still an actress to this day, doing like musical theater in Toronto and all around Canada. She's been in some big theater productions like Hairspray, things like that. So
that's interesting.
I never actually really thought about my grandpa influencing my career in death metal, but maybe he's the one that got this all started.
Well, the thing is with music is that, the feeling, I mean, maybe the feeling can be a little bit of liberation, and that liberation can manifest in other directions as well. And who knows, man? I mean, it's just always interesting to kind of look back at the journey. But speaking of the journey, like, tell me about what's your favorite song, and if you have a favorite song, what does it mean to you?
Okay. That's always a really tough question, but like I started off actually.
That's the worst question. That is like, if anyone asks me that, I'm just like, come on, like enough, Yeah. But try your best.
No, if I had to pick one, it's actually not that hard because I mean, like I started off with punk. That's where my like introduction to like heavy music came from, and it started when I was 12. One of my neighbor kids, he was a skater kid. He was actually one of the first sponsored skateboarders that I knew in Saskatoon, where like shops were like giving him free boards, and he was actually getting paid a little bit of money, and he was actually a year younger than me, which I thought was I just thought he was so much cooler than I was, and he was a year younger than me, and I was like,
that's upsetting when that happens.
Yeah, that was upset. That was a little bit upsetting. But he had this. We'd hang out, and I'm not sure why he would hang out with me because he was so much cooler than I was. But he would hang out with me anyway, probably because he was my neighbor and he didn't have much of a choice. But
fair enough.
He had like all this different kind of music that I'd never heard before, and he gave me this tape. It was Punkorama. It was this
Punkorama.
It was.
What is that, like big shiny tins
compilation
for punk rock or something?
No, it was a compilation that was put out by Epitaph Records, like one of the big punk labels. I mean, still to this day. And they just put out they put out these compilations, and the compilations were like $5 for a tape.
Right.
And so he had that one, and he gave it to me, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was on it. I didn't recognize any of the band names, but I took it up to my room, popped it in the tape player, and the first song that came on was a song called "Do What You Want" by a band called Bad Religion.
There's punk for you. Do what you want. Do what you want.
Yeah, and it's about a minute and a half long, like not even.
Yeah.
Really,
I like short songs.
Yeah, like super fast and aggressive. And I'd never heard anything like that before. But I was just like, I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. And it was just, I probably didn't even know what it was about then. And I probably didn't care. I just knew that it made the hair on my arms stand up and made me, it probably like, as soon as I hit play, it probably like kickstarted puberty, like right there. Like,
it did that thing, right?
It did that thing.
Magical.
It did that weird thing.
Brainwashing. Now you're going to want to become a musician. Ruin your life.
It awakened something really primal. But like, it's about individuality. Sure. It's about doing your own thing, but not hurting other people or not expecting other people to do things the way that you do them. You just do things your own way. You do you. Let other people be themselves. And I mean, that's it.
How old was that? How old were you when that happened?
I was 12. So I was
12. Right. Sorry.
I was in grade 7.
So that was a super empowering message for a shy kid, right? Like that's pretty empowering stuff.
I mean, yeah, at that age, like I was going through a lot of stuff. I was getting picked on at school a lot. I mean, I was kind of, you're finding your place, and I was finding out that among the people at my school, it didn't seem like there was a place for me.
Okay.
But then I heard this song and I was like, oh, my place is here with whatever this is. It's not necessarily with those people that I go to school with, but there is a place that I can exist. I can be myself. And it's with whatever this is going on this tape right here. So as long as I got this, I'm never going to be alone. I'm never going to have to be by myself. All I need is what's on this tape.
So what happens now? Tell me, let's go back to Dharma again. Take me through the songwriting process. Like what's that all like?
That all has to do with Jack. He's our drummer. He started the band. He's been wanting to do a band like this for probably at least 15 years.
Would you call Dharma a concept band?
In a way, yeah. Yeah, we are a concept band. I mean, the same way, say, a band like Amon Amarth from Sweden who do like, Viking metal, where they're singing about Viking folklore, pagan folklore, things like that. Yeah, we're of a similar ilk, I would say. But he is the kind of guiding force of the band, and he decides what sutras or mantras that we want to use and what.
Okay, so you guys aren't writing lyrics. You're literally you're singing from the books.
Yeah. No, we're just taking them in their original form. But then it falls to Andy, our guitar player and songwriter. He has to somehow, some way,
riff it out,
decide how to transform this into a death metal song. So he goes on to like YouTube and he'll hear the chant and how it normally sounds. And I mean, it's just a repetitive drone at first, basically.
Do you have any idea how many actual sutras or mantras there are? Like, is there like
in total?
is there like thousands or hundreds or?
I'm not actually sure what that number would be in terms of books of the Buddhist faith. I mean, there are actually hundreds of them, because there's the original scriptures that were written based on the teachings of the Buddha. But then every disciple of the Buddha went forth and wrote their own books based on that, and
interpretations,
so on and so forth. So there's not one like central book like the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or anything like that. There's no one central reference. So my very general answer to that would be there's a lot. We're never going to
right.
we're never going to run out of material. We could do 100 albums based on this. But we'll
is there any kind of copyright issue with that? Like, or is it like
no, none whatsoever.
Okay, that's interesting.
These are free use. Nobody's tried to sue us yet, knock on wood. So we'll
right. Well, that's good. You don't want the Dalai Lama showing up and being like,
don't want to make him. If we can make him mad, then we've definitely messed up. So
yeah, no kidding. All right. For the English audience, pick one Chinese language song that you would like to introduce to Canadians. And why would you like to introduce this song to a English-speaking audience?
I'll pick a song by my friends that I mentioned earlier, Thonic. If people don't know them, they're a very politically conscious band. They're very active when it comes to issues of Taiwanese independence. And if you want to learn all about that, you can look up Freddie Lim, the singer. You're going to get all kinds of headlines and all kinds of articles based on his work and his advocacy for Taiwanese independence. And they have a song which I worked on. I got to work on the English version of it, but the English title is called Supreme Pain for the Tyrant. And it kind of encapsulates a lot of Taiwan's painful past, the fight for democracy, the fight for freedom, and all of that. And it deals with what was known as the White Terror period, the decades-long period of martial law in Taiwan under the KMT, wherein it said up to 20,000 people, estimated, were disappeared or killed by the regime during that time. So this song kind of deals with all of that. And there is a line actually in the English version and in the Mandarin version. It's a line spoken in English. It's, "Let me stand up like a Taiwanese, only justice will bring you peace." And that is the line where whenever Thonic plays a big show, and like their biggest shows, they'll get tens of thousands of people that show up for them.
Okay, they're huge.
They're huge. And
I've actually seen them perform. I saw them perform at the Golden Indie Awards actually in 2019.
And when that line comes up, the whole audience is screaming that line, and you can see how powerful it is, how much it resonates with people and what it means to them to be able to say that. Let me stand up like a Taiwanese. Let me exist in the world and call myself what I want to be called and be what I want to be. Let me have the freedom to do that. You see people with tears in their eyes. You see young people, you see old people there, and you just see the power that a song and that a band can actually have. Like it goes so far beyond just being a group of musicians that are there to say just entertain people. This is a movement. Right. This is politics. This is power. This is all of that. So I mean, that's, if you want to check it out, it's beyond that. It's just a really cool music video that they did as well. So if you want to see a cool music video, that's one to watch.
And what's the title again? Well, give us the title.
Supreme Pain for the Tyrant.
Supreme Pain for the Tyrant. Yeah, that sounds like that sounds pretty metal.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, it's a very metal title. It's an awesome song, awesome video, and if you really want to learn about like the history of Taiwan, actually Thonic can be a good sort of intro to that whole world.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, one thing about this region for sure is the history. It's a modern history, and it's very interesting history in depth for sure. So we're coming to the close here, Joe. But tell me the awesomest thing that has happened to you.
The awesomest thing.
The most awesome thing that has happened in your life.
I mean, honestly, the most awesome thing that ever happened to me was I came here. I came to Taiwan, and I was very fortunate. I was very lucky. All these different worlds opened up to me here. The worlds of music, the worlds of writing. I met my wife here. Basically, I came here, and not to say that Canada is not a wonderful place. Of course it is, but this was something that I needed for myself. I needed to get out and have this adventure. And I think because I embraced that, and that I was open to new things, new experiences, and to whatever life was going to throw at me, all these kind of awesome things ended up happening. So that's, in a nutshell, it was just getting on that plane and coming here to this place that has now been my home for the past 17 years. And I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that Taiwan has allowed me to live my actual dreams in myriad different ways. So that's the most awesome thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like you kind of you dove into you're like the mirror reflection of yourself looking back and all the things that you've accomplished. And good for you, man, really. And what about, so we're just going to recap a few things here. So one of the things is the video. What's the video called? What's the song called? I can find it on YouTube. What's the song called itself?
Yeah, our latest music video is called The Great Compassion Dharani. So you can check it out. It's on YouTube. So you can search Dharma, Great Compassion Dharani, and that will come up. And yeah, you can find us also just as Dharma on Facebook, Instagram. We tweet
You're like all on the streaming sites as well. Is your first album up on Spotify and Apple Music?
Yeah, and you can also, if you're looking for me specifically, I also have a section on my own website, www.jwhenley.com, where I have a Dharma section on my website as well, where you can find all our music, and you can also find all my books, including the latest one, Migrante, that we talked about as well. So you can find all that on there as well.
Okay, Joe. Well, thank you very much for doing this podcast with me, and thanks very much for anyone who is stuck around and listened to the entirety of it. Also, I want to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Please support this initiative of bringing Chinese language music insight and music to the English speaking audiences, and let's get this all normalized. And I think it's going to be a big advantage for North America to be welcoming the Chinese languages inside. So thanks a lot, Joe, and it's really been nice to catch up with you, and I always wish you the best and much success in the forthcoming future. And I'm really looking forward to checking out your new album, or your second album as well. That's pretty excited about that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We're looking forward to getting it out there and getting out on the road, and hopefully doing some shows back home in Canada too.
All right. Well, that was awesome. That was an awesome podcast there. So we'll see you. All right, Joe. Take care of yourself.
Take care, buddy.